Title 16 Aviation, Section 1601 Airport Checkpoint Screening Fund, Section 44940 of Title 49 United States Code is amended 1 in subsection D4 and inserting other than subsection 1 before the except 2 and adding the following. 1. Checking the Screening Security Fund. 1. Establishes the Department of Homeland Security A funded as being known as the Checkpoint Screening Security Fund. 2. Deposit in fiscal year 2008 after the amounts available under Section 44923H and the next $250 million derived from the fees received under the subsection A1 shall be available to be deposited in the funds. The fees of the Secretary of Homeland Security shall impose the fees unauthorized in subsection A1 as so to collect as the fund at least $250 million in the fiscal years of 2008 for deposited in the fund. For availability of the funds, amounts of the fund shall be available expended administrated of the Transportation Security Administration for the purchase of deployment, installation, research, deployment of equipment to improve the ability to secure personnel at screening point checks and detect explosives. Section 1602 Screening and Cargo Carried of the Passenger Aircraft. In general, Section 44901 as Title 49 United States Code is amended. 1. Redesignating the subsection G and H to subsection H and I respectively. 2. Inserting the subsection of F of the following. Air cargo and passenger aircraft. Deadline. 1. In general, not later than 3 years after the date of enactment and implementing recommendations of 9/11 Commission Act of 2007, Secretary of Homeland Security shall establish a system of the screen 100% of the cargo transported on passenger aircraft or operated air carrier, foreign air carrier, and transportation intrastate air transportation to ensure the security of all passengers, aircraft, cargo, carrying cargo. 2. The minimum standards. The systems referred to in paragraph 1 shall require a minimum that the equipment, technology, procedure, personnel, and other methods approved by the Demonstrated Transportation Security Administration are used to screen the cargo carrier to the passenger aircraft described in paragraph 1 to provide the level of security demonstration of level of security for the screening of passenger check bags as follows. A. 50% of such cargo is screened not later than 18 months of the date of enactment implementation recommendations of 9/11 Commission Act of 2007. B. The 100% of the cargo is such screened not later than 3 years after such date. 3. Regulations. In term of the final rule, the Secretary of Homeland Security may issue the interim final rule as a temporary regulation implementation subsection without regard to provisions of Chapter 5 of Title 5. B. The final rule. In general, Secretary issues an interim final rule under the subparagraph A. The Secretary shall issue not later than 1 year after the effective date of the interim final rule as a final rule permanent regulations implementations of subsection in accordance with the provision of Chapter 5 of Title 5. Reports that 2. The failure of acts the Secretary does not issue the final rule in accordance with the Clause 1 of before the last day of 1 year before period referred to as the clause. The Secretary shall submit the Committee of the Homeland Security, House of Representatives, Committee of Commerce, Science, Technology, Transportation of the Senate, and the Committee of the Homeland Security, Government Affairs of the Senate, reporting explaining the final rule was not timely issued, providing estimating of the earliest date of the final rule will be issued. D. The deadline. The Secretary shall submit the first such report within 10 days after such last day. Submit a report of the committees containing updated information every 30 days thereafter until the final rule is issued. 3. The superseding the internal final rule. The final rule is in accordance with subparagraph A. The superseding of the internal final rule of the final rule is in accordance with the subparagraph shall supersede the internal final rule issued under subparagraph A for the report no later than 1 year after the date of establishment of the system under the paragraph 1 of the Secretary shall submit the committees referred to the paragraph 3B1, 3B2 of the report described in system. 5. The screening defined in subsection. The term screening means a physical examination, non-intrusive method of assessing whether the cargo poses a threat of transportation security. Method of screening including X-ray systems, explosive detection systems, explosive tracing detection, explosive detection, K9 teams certified with Transportation Security Administration, or physical search together with manifest of verification. The administration may approve additional methods to ensure the cargo does not pose a threat of transportational security to assist the meeting of requirements of subsection of the subsection. C. Such additional cargo screening methods should not include solely performing a review of information about the contents cargo, verifying, identifying of the shipper's cargo, non-performed conjunction conjunction with the other security methods authorized under the subsection, including whether non-shipper's registry is known as shipper's dates, or such additional cargo screening methods may be included in program to certify security methods used by shippers pursuant in paragraphs 1 and 2. Screening Alternative screening methods pursuant to the expectations referred to in subsection B of the section 1602 of the Implementation Recommendation Laws of 9/11 Commission Act of 2007. B. The assessment exemptions TSA and assessment A in general, no later than 120 days after the date of enactment, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall submit appropriate committees of the Congress Comptroller a report of containing assessments of each exemption of the granted under the section 4490111 of Title 49 United States Code for the screening required of section of the cargo transported to the passenger aircraft, and the analysis to assess the risk of maintaining such exemption. B. The content. The report of subparagraph A shall include one rationale for each examination. 2. The percentage of cargo is not screened in accordance with section 44901G of the Title 49 United States Code. 3. Impact of each exemption of the aviation security. 4. Project impact of the flow of commerce and elimination of each exemption in respective should be Secretary chose to take those such actions. 5. Planning rational maintaining changing elimination such each exemption. C. Format. The Secretary should submit a report under subparagraph A as classified by redactment forms of Secretary determines on such actions and appropriate necessary. Assessment not later than 120 days after the deadline of the date reported under paragraph 1 is submitted. The Comptroller shall review the report submitted to the Community and Homeland Security House of Representatives and Committee of Commerce, Science, and Transportation of the Senate Committee of Homeland Security, Government Affairs, the Senate assessment and the methodology determinations. The Secretary of the Maintaining, Changing, Elimination of the exemption of section 44901 and 11 of Title 49 United States Code. Section 1603, 121 Stat 480, Public 11053, August 3rd, 2007. Section 1603, Inline Baggage Screening Extension Authorization. Section 44923 and 1 in the Title 49 United States Code is amended and striking 2007, inserting 2007 $450 million for the fiscal year of 2008 through 2011. Deadline submission of the cost-sharing study plan no later than 60 days after the date of enactment. Secretary of Homeland Security shall submit to the appropriate congressional committees the cost-sharing described as section the cost-sharing study described in section 4019 D of the Intelligent Reform Terrorism Prevention Act 2004 at 118 Stats 3722. Together, the Secretary analysis of the study of the list of provisions, study of Secretary intends the implementation and plan schedule of the implementation such listed provisions. Section 1604, the inline baggage system development in general. Section 449023 Title 49 United States Code is amended in 1 subsection A, the striking in may make, inserting in shall make. 2 in subsection D1, striking may, inserting in shall. In section 3, section H1, and striking 2007, inserting 2028. 4 in section H, the striking of paragraph 2 and 3, inserting the following. 2 allocations of the amount of available under paragraph 1 in the fiscal year of not less than $200 million shall be allocated to fill letters and intent and issues of subsection D. Discretionary grants. One of the amount of them available under paragraph 1 of the fiscal years of $50 million shall make discretion grants, including other transaction agreements of the airport security improvement projects. The prior given sub-hub airports and non-hub airports be the re-designation subsection I and J. 6. The insertion of subsection H of the following. I. Leverage funding. For the purpose of section, grant under subsection A, the airport sponsors a service obligation issued by or on the behalf of the sponsor to be funded project described in subsection A, considering to be the grant of that project. Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 44923 Airport Security Prioritization Projects and General Administration of Transportation Security Administration shall establish prioritization of the Schedule of Security Improvements Project as described in Section 44923 of Title 49 United States Code based on a risk of other than relevant factors funded in other sections. The schedule shall include the airports referred to the paragraph 29, 31, and 42 of 40102 and such titles non-hub airports and is defined in Section 4102.13 as such title. 2. Airports that have been incurred eligible costs. The schedule shall include airports that have incurred eligible costs associated with development and partial completed inline baggage system related to enactment of the act of reasonable anticipated receiving grant under Section 44923 of Title 49 United States Code, and reimbursement of those costs shall, but they have not received such a grant, report not later than 100 days after the date of enactment. The administrator shall make a copy of the prioritization schedule of corresponding timeline description of the funding allocation of Section 44923 of Title 49 United States Code, Committee of Commerce, Science, and Transportation of Senate and Committee of Homeland Security of House of Representatives 1605, Strategic Planning of Testing, Implementation, Advanced Passenger Pre-Screening System, Deadlines 49, U.S. Standard Code 44903, Note, and A in general, not later than 120 days after the date of enactment of the Security of Homeland Security and consultant with the Administration of Transportation Security Administration shall submit a Committee of Homeland Security of the House of Representatives, the Committee of Commerce of Science and Transportation of Senate, and the Committee of Homeland Security Government Affairs of the Senate and Plan 1 describing the system be utilized Department of Homeland Security to assume prioritization comparing passenger information to firm and administrative to automatic selectee of no flying list and utilizing appropriate records consolidated integrated terrorist watch list maintained with the federal government and may provide projected timeline for each phase of testing implementation of the system. And 3. The explaining of the system and integrated within the pre-screening system of the passenger international flights. 4. To describe how the system complies with Section 552A of Title 55 United States Code. The GAO assessment not later than 100 days after the date the reports of the enactment of this act. The comptroller shall submit the report of the Committee of the Commerce, Science, and Transportation of the Senate Committee of the Homeland Security Homeland Security of the House of Representatives. That 1 describes the progress of Transportation Security Administration implementation of security flight passenger pre-screening program. 2 describes effectiveness of the current appeals process to passenger wrongly assigned to the no-fly terrorist watch list. Describe Transportation Security Administration to plan to describe the Transportation Security Administration plan to protect private passenger information progress, the integration system, the pre-screening program, international flights operated in the United States Customs and the Border Protection. 4 that provides realistic determination the system will be completed, and 5 includes other relevant observation recommendations the comptroller deems appropriate. Section 1606 appeal the redress of a process of passenger wrongly delayed, prohibited in boarding a flight. In general, subchapter 1 of chapter 449 of Title 49 United States Code is amended and adding the following: Section 44 stated states 44926 appeal for the redress process the passenger wrongfully delayed and prohibited in from boarding a flight. A in general, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall establish timely, fairly process of individuals who believe they are delayed, prohibited from boarding commercial aircraft because they are wrongfully identified as a threat under regimes and utilized and tracked by the Transportation Security Administration, United States Customs Border Protection, or any other office component with the Department of Homeland Security. B. The Office of Appeals and Readdress. The establishment of the security shall establish a Department of Office Appeals and Readdress, the implementation, coordination, execute the process established Secretary pursuant to the subsection A. The office shall include representatives from the Transportation Security Administrators, United States Customs Border Protection Offices, components of the Department. Of Secretary determines the appropriate. 2. The records of process established Secretary in subsection A shall include the establishment method of the office direction. The Secretary will be maintain a record of air carrier, passenger, other individuals will misidentified and corrected erroneous information. 3. The information to prevent repeated delay of an misidentified passenger or other individual office shall A. ensure the records maintained under the subsection A subsection contain information to determine the Secretary to authenticate the identity for the passenger individual. B. The furnishing Transportation Security Administration, United States Customs and Border Protection, or any other appropriated office component of the department upon request such information made necessary. Also allow such office component to assist aircrafts improving administration, advanced passenger pre-screening system, reducing the number of false positives, and C, requiring foreign aircraft taking action identifying passengers determining under the process established under subsection A to have wrongfully identified. For handling personally identified information, the Secretary, in conjunction with the Chief of Privacy Officer of the Department, shall A, require federal employees of the Department handling personnel identifying information of passengers in the paragraph referred to as PII complete mandatory privacy security training prior to being authorized to be handled PII. B, the insurance B, ensures the record is maintained under the subsection A, or B, ensuring the records are maintained under subsection A are required encrypted one-way hashing other day anonymization of techniques such as equivalent security technical protections as in Secretary determines necessary. See the limitations collected misidentified passengers and individuals minimum amount necessary to resolve the redress and a request. D, require the data generated under subsection shall be shared, transferred via the Secretary data, and that has been audited to ensure the anti-hacking other security-related software functions properly updated and necessary. E, ensure the employee department receiving the contained report handles and information in accordance with Section 552A of the Title 5, United States Code Federal Law, Information and Security Management 2002, Public Law 107-296. F, the only retaining data of long is needed assisted individual travel in the readdress process. G, conduction of the published privacy impact assessment of the process described in subsection and transmit assessment to the Committee of Homeland Security, House of Representatives, Committee of Commerce, Section Science, Transportation of Senate, Committee of Homeland Security, Government Affairs of the Senate. And 5, initiation and readdress process of the airports of the office and establish airport of the determination significant presence of process to provide information passengers to begin readdress process established pursuant to subsection A. B, the clerical amendment analysis of the chapter amended inserting the item relating to section 44925 of the following. 42926, appeal for readdress process passenger wrongly delayed and prohibited for the boarding of flight. Section 1607, strengthening of explosive detection as a passenger screening checkpoints. A, in general, not later than 30 days after the date of enactment of the Secretary of Homeland Security and consultant with the Administrator of Transportation Security shall issue a strategic plan as Secretary which Secretary was required by Section 44925B to Title 49 of the United States Code having issued 90 days after the enactment of the Intelligent Reform Terrorism Prevention Act of 2004, Public Law 108458. Line Strategic Plan 49 U.S. Standard Code 44925. No. Employment 44925B of the Title 49 United States Code is amended by adding in the following implementation. Secretary shall begin implementation strategic plan 1 year after the date of enactment of the paragraph. 1608, Research, Development, and Aviation Transportation Security Technology, Section 137, Aviation Transportation Security Act of 49, United States Code 44912, Note 115, Stat 637, amended by striking 2002 through 2006, inserting 2006 through 2011, the striking Aviation and inserting Transportation 3, 2002, and 2003, inserting 2006 through 2011. Section 1609, blast resistant cargo containers. Section 44901, Title 49 United States Code is amended in Section 1604, further amended adding the ending of the following deadlines. J, the blast resistant cargo containers 1 in general before January 1st, 2008. Administrator of the Transportation Security Administration shall A, evaluate the result of blast resistant cargo container pilot program was initiated before the date of enactment of subsection. Reports of B, prepare to distribute through the Aviation Security Advisory Committee to appropriate committees, congressional air carriers to report evaluation which contain unclassified, classified. Section 2, the acquisition, maintenance, replacement upon the completion of consistent with the result of evaluation. Paragraph 1A, the requirement administration shall A, develop an implementation program. Administration determines appropriate to acquire, maintain, replace blast resistant cargo containers. B, pay the program. C, the most available resistant cargo containers are air carriers pursuant to the paragraph 3. The distribution of air carriers administration shall make available beginning no later than Then July 1st, 2008, blast-resistant cargo containers, air carriers that are usually on risk management based and determined administration. Title 49, United States Code 44901, Note, Section 1601, 1610, Section 1610, Protection of the Passenger Planes, Explosive and Technology Research and Pilot Projects. 1. Research and Development Secretary of Homeland Security and consultant with Administrator of Transportation Security Administrator shall expedite research development program technology that disrupts, prevent explosive device from introduced passenger planes from damaging a passenger plane while in flight or on the ground. Research shall be used in support and implementation of 44901 and Title 49 United States Code. Grants of the pilot projects. The Secretary, in conjunction with Security Transportation, shall establish grant program to fund the pilot projects. A. Deploy technology described in paragraph 1. B. The technology to expedite recovery, development, and analysis of information on the aircraft accidents to determine caused by the accident, including deployable flight deck and voice recorders and remote location recording devices. Authorized to appropriate Security Homeland Security Fiscal year of 2008. Such sums are necessary to carry the section. Such sums are remaining available, expandable. Section 1611, Specialized Training 49 United States Code 11.4, Note, the Administrator of the Transportation Security Administration shall advance the training transportation security officers developing specialized security skills, including behavioral observation analysis, explosive detection, documentation, and examination, in order to enhance effectiveness of the layered transportation security measurement. 1612, certain TSA personnel limitations not to apply. 49 United States Code 11.4, Note, in general, notwithstanding any provisions, any statutory limitations, number of employees, Transportation Security Administration before and transportation of the Department of Homeland Security from the Department of Transportation does not apply for the fiscal year of 2007. Aviation security, notwithstanding any provision and limitation, recruiting, hiring, and personnel into the Transportation Security Administration to a maximum number of permanent positions of Security Homeland Security shall recruit, hire, and such personnel administration as may be necessary to provide appropriate levels of aviation security to accomplish the goal manner that the average aviation security related delay experienced airline passenger is reduced to the level of less than 10 minutes. Section 1613, Pilot Project to test different technologies at airport exit lanes. Title 49, United States Code 44903, Note. In general, the Transportation Security Administration can conduct a pilot program at not more than 2 airports to identify technologies to improve security of the airport existing lanes. Program components. The conducting of the pilot program under Section Air Administrator shall 1. Utilize the technology's protected integrity of the airport existing lanes from unauthorized entry. 2. Airport officials deploy such technologies must multiply configurations at selected airports at which some exits are not collocated with a screening checkpoint. 3. Ensuring level security is at the above level existing security airports where the pilot program is conducted. C. Initial briefing not later than 100 days after the reenactment of the administration conducted briefing. Congressional committee set forth in paragraph 3 describing the airport area selected and participate in pilot program. B. The technologies to be tested. C. The potential savings implementation technologies of selected airport exist. Technology configurations expected to be deployed in such airports. 5. The expected financial contribution from airport. 5. To the final report no later than 18 months after the technology are deployed at airports and participating in the pilot program. Administration shall submit a final report to congressional committees set forth in paragraph 3 that describes A. The changes in the security procedures technologies deployed. B. The estimated cost savings airports participate in pilot program. C. The efficiency, staff, benefits, and pilot program applicable airports in the United States. C. 3. The congressional committees of the reports required under the subsection shall be submitted to the Committee Commerce, Science of Transportation of the Senate, the Committee of Appropriations of the Senate, the Committee of Homeland Security, Government Affairs of the Senate, the Committee of Homeland Security of the House of Representatives, the Committee of Appropriations of the House of Representatives. Use of existing funds. The section of the bill shall be executed using the existing funds. 49 United States Code 44903, Note. Section 1614, Security Credentials of Airline Crews. Report no later than 100 days after the enactment of this act. The Administrator, Transportation Security Administration, after the consult of the airline, airport, flight crew representative shall submit the Committee of Commerce, Science, Transportation, Senate, Committee of Homeland Security, Government Affairs, Senate, and the Committee of Homeland Security of the House of Representatives, and the Committee of Transportation, Infrastructure, House of Representatives of the stats administration efforts to institute sterile area access systems methodology, and will enhance security and properly identify and authorize airline flight deck cabin crew members of screening checkpoints, and granting the expedited access of the screening checkpoints. Through screening checkpoints, the administration shall include report recommendations on a feasible implementation system domestic aviation industry beginning of 1 of the year date of the report. 2. The beginning of the implementation, the administrator shall implement the system before the beginning implementation. The administrator shall begin implementation of the system of method referred to as the subsection A no later than 1 year after the date of which the administrator submits the report under Section A. Section 1615, law enforcement officers' biometric credentials. Aid in general, Section 44903H6 of Title 49 United States Code is amended to read as follows. Public Law 11053, August 3rd, 2007. 121 Stat 487, 6 United States Biometrical Technology Armed Law Enforcement Travel. A. In general, not later than 18 months after the date of enactment, implementation recommendations 9/11 Commission Act, Security, Homeland Security Act, and consult with the Attorney General. 1. Implementation of the publication Federal Registry. Establish National Registered Armed Law Enforcement Program shall federally manage law enforcement officers needed for the armed with traveling commercial aircraft. B. Requirements. The program shall establish credential system incorporates biotechnology, other applicable technologies. 2. Establish system law enforcement officers will need armed traveling commercial armed aircraft regular basis of those who needed armed during temporary assignments. 3. Comply with the Uniform Credential Initiatives, including Homeland Security Presidential Directive 12-2. 4. Apply to the federal, state, local, tribal, territorial governments, law enforcement agencies. 5. Establish processes for travel credential systems based on verifying, identifying biometrical technology of federal, state law, tribal, territorial law enforcement, otherwise seeking to carry a weapon on board a commercial aircraft without unnecessary disclosing the public of the individual is the law enforcement officer. C. The procedures establishing the program security shall develop in procedure. 1. Ensure the law enforcement officer, federal, state, local, and tribal and territorial government armed in specific reasons of flying armed to the reason within the scope of the duties such as the officer. 2. Preserve an anatomy of the armed law enforcement. 3. The resolve of failures to enroll in law and 3. To resolve failures to enroll false matches, false non-matches relating to the use of law enforcement travel credentials or systems. 4. To determine method of issuance of biometrical credentials to the law enforcement officers needing to the armed traveling in commercial aircraft. 5. The validation of law enforcement travel credential system in the law stolen, no longer authorized use for use. 6. Coordination of the program Federal Air Marshal Service, including Force Multiplier Program Services. 7. Implementation phase an appropriate approach for launching program addressing immediate needs of the relevant federal agent population before expanding to the other law enforcement populations. Report in general not later than 100 days of implementation. National Registered and Armed Law Enforcement Program required of Section 44903H6 of Title 49 United States Code. The Secretary of Homeland Security shall submit to the Committee of Commerce, Science, Transportation, and Senate Committee of Homeland Security, House of Representatives. The Secretary has no implemented the program with 180 days after the enactment of the Act. The Secretary shall submit a report committee within 100 days explaining the reason for the failure to implement the program within the time of required. The section further report the success 90 days period until the program of the implemented explanation of the reasons and for such further implementation under the program is functioning. 2. Classified format. The Secretary may submit each of the report required for the subsection class format. 49 United States Code 44924 note. Deadline. Section 1616 Repair Station Security. A. Certification from Foreign Repair Station Suspension Regulation required as Section 44924F of the Title 49 United States Code are not issued 1 year after the date of enactment. The Administrator of Federal Aviation Administration may not comply with the Foreign Repair Station under Part 145 Title 14 Code Federal Regulation after such date unless the station was previously certified process or in the process of certification. Administrator Under the part of 6 month deadline and security review of the audit, subsection A and D of Section 44924 of the Title 49 United States Code is amended in subsection A and B, striking 18 months, inserting 6 months, and subsection subsection D, inserting the other than the station of the previously certified process certification by the administration under this party and until. Deadline, Section 1617, General Aviation Security 44901 of Title 49 United States Code is amended in 1602 and in 1609, further amended and adding in the following. General Aviation Airport Security Program 1 in general, not later than 1 year after the date of enactment, subsection of the Administration of the Transportation Security Administration. A, developing standards and vulnerability assessment program by General Aviation Reports. A is defined in Section 47134M. B, implementation program to prefer to the assessment on the risk managed basis for general aviation. 2, the general program not later than 6 months after the date of enactment, subsection administrators shall initiate complete a study of feasibility of the program based on the risk management approach to provide grants to the appropriate general aviation or airports as defined in section 47134M. For projects upgraded security at such airports, the administrator shall determine to such program as feasible. Administrator shall establish to such a program. 3. Application general aviation airport or aviation aircraft. Application to general aviation aircraft not later than 100 days after the date of enactment of the subsection. Administrator shall develop a risk-based system under which is A, general aviation aircraft identified administrator in coordination with administration and federal agency aviation administration required submitted passenger and information advance notification requirements, United States Customs Border Protection before entering United States Code airspace before information checked against the appropriate database. D, 4, authorization and appropriation thereof authorized by appropriated administrator of the Transportation Security Administration such sums as may be necessary to carry out paragraph 2 and 3, section 1618, extension of the authorization aviation security funding, section 48301A of Title 49 United States Code is amended in striking 2006, inserting 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, and 2011. Maritime cargo. Title 17.